Hello viewers, welcome to Elimu TV. This lesson is for business studies. We are going to look at our lesson 2, business studies form 1. Our topic of the day is business and its environment. We are going to look at the purpose of business and the activities that are there in business. I'm your teacher, Madam Margaret Wangari. Thank you so much for being with us. You can also talk to us through our SMS number 40007 or through our Facebook page Elimu TV, or you can also talk to us on our Twitter handle, which is Elimu TV _KE. We are going to start with our last lesson preview. Before the end of the last lesson, I left you with some questions, and you are supposed to, number 1, explain the meaning of business studies. Business studies is the study of the activities that are carried out in and around production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. The other question, you are supposed to give the importances of business studies to a country, and I would expect you to have given the following importances. Number 1, you would say that business studies equips members of society with knowledge and the skills necessary to start and run a business. And the other one is that it assists the individuals in appreciating the role of business in provision of goods and services. That one means with that knowledge of business studies, having run business studies, you are able to appreciate or to actually thank business that it avails goods and services to the consumers. The other one, you are supposed to say that business studies assists members of society to relate the knowledge, skills, and attitude acquired to the business, to the day-to-day business activities around them. In other words, we are saying that the business, having run business, you get knowledge, you get to equip yourself with the skills and the attitude that you run in business, and therefore you are able to relate that in your day-to-day activities. The other one is that it enables individuals to understand the role of government in business studies. Later on in the course of our running, we are going to look at the ways that the government uses to involve, or the ways that the government involves itself in business, and the advantages associated with that. Therefore, that's why we are saying it enables individuals. Without business, you cannot know that there is a role that the government plays in business. The other one, I would expect you to have said that it equips individuals with the abilities to promote cooperation in society through trade. This is possible because when you are doing trade, business is all about trade. And trade involves buying and selling of goods and services with the name of making profit. You don't sell goods to particular individuals. You sell to all consumers in general, regardless of their race or their origin, and therefore that is why we are saying it equips the individual with the abilities to promote cooperation in society, because people from all different walks of life engage in business. Now, for today's lesson, let's look at the specific objectives. By the end of this lesson, I would expect you as a runner to be able to outline the purpose of business. You state and explain all types of business activities. Let's start with business. So far, so good. During our first lesson, we discussed what is business studies. We also discussed what the term business means, and we are going to repeat that. And we said that business, it refers to any activity carried out by an individual or an organization with the name of making profit. Any activity carried out by an individual. You can carry out business as an individual. You can set up your own shop, or you can merge. You can merge and you form an organization or a partnership. Then you do business, you carry out business, and at the end of the day, you realize profit. So that's why we are saying Business refers to any activity carried out by an individual or an organization. But remember, where there is no profit, there is no business. And that is why we always say with an aim of making profit. Business mainly involves the provision of goods and services required by customers. So you cannot avail something that the customers don't need. But if you avail something that customers don't need, they will not buy it, and therefore you will not realize any profit. Let's look now at the purpose of business. Purpose of business means the importance of business. Number one, it creates employment. This means that when you put up your own business, you don't need to go looking for a job, because we say that you are self-employed. Even if you set up a business as a group, the profit that you realize, you divide that amongst yourself, and that is your income. So we say business creates employment. On the other hand, even when you set up a shop, you may need some people to be assisting you in running the business. So those people are getting employed out of your business. So business creates employment. The other purpose of business is that we can say it provides goods and services to the consumers. Anytime you are doing business, you either sell goods or services. When you set up a shop, you sell goods and you at a profit. Selling services involves, for instance, you can put up a salon, you can put up a hospital, and you are paid for the services that you are giving to the consumers. So provision of goods and services to the consumers. You would also say that it also brings it avails goods and services nearer to the consumers. If we were all as consumers to go for the goods from the producers, it would be very tiresome. So it is very important that the business people brings those goods closer to us. And we continue with the purpose of business. And the other one is, we would say, it helps in usage of idle resources. It helps in usage of idle resources. And this one means that because of that knowledge of entrepreneurship that people get from business studies, they are able to make use of those skills that they get from business, and the knowledge and the ability to identify a business opportunity. And therefore they become creative, and they come up with a business idea, and therefore they set up that business. For instance, if you may look at the picture beside our current page, you can see that that is an idle place that is so rocky. So someone may find a business opportunity in that. One can start up a business of making stones that are used to build. So a quarry can come out of that. The other importance is that it is a source of revenue to the government. As we advance in our studies of business, you are going to realize that one of the source of income for the government of a country is from the revenue realized when people pay for the license fee to conduct businesses. Remember, you cannot start any business without being licensed. The government must be made aware that a certain business of a certain type is being carried out somewhere. So you pay for the license fee, and that one is the government revenue. The other importance is that it enables people to have positive attitudes towards trade. Business equips one with the skills, what you should do for your business to prosper, and therefore this puts that positive attitudes in people about trade. The other one, you would say, it makes people appreciate government involvement in business. In Form 2, there is a topic about government involvement in business, and it elaborates wider and on how the government involves itself in business and the importances. And you find that the government involves itself in business for so many reasons. One being to protect the trader, and as well as to protect the consumer. And therefore, the assistance that comes about from the government aims at making the businesses to thrive. For instance, the government may come in by improving the infrastructure. So when it comes to transporting of raw materials, goods, distributing your goods to the various destinations where the consumers are, it becomes easier for you. So that would make you appreciate, as a business person, that makes you appreciate that the government involves itself in trade or in business. From there, we are going to look at the various business activities that are there in business studies. Our first activity is the extraction. And extraction as a business activity involves obtaining the goods from their natural setting. For instance, you can see beside that explanation, there is someone there cutting logs from trees. We can say this is obtaining the goods from their natural setting, because these logs are going to be used in so many ways to come up with various different goods. For instance, the papers that you usually write on, like the one that you are using to write on or to scribble something, do you know that that is a byproduct of this wood? So extraction therefore involves the obtaining of goods from their natural setting. The other type, we continue with the types of business activities, and the other one is the processing of raw materials. Processing of raw materials involves the processing of goods in order to make them useful. The term processing in business means changing the form of a good without combining it with other goods. There are some products which you cannot use depending on the product that you want. For instance, if you feel like taking ugali and you have maize with you, you know that maize flour comes from maize, and therefore you cannot use maize because you want ugali, and therefore you just need to change the form of that maize, so through processing, to give you what you need, or to be in a position to satisfy your want. And beside there you can see a machine that is used to grind maize. That is, it processes maize so that to change its form to the right form that is required. We continue. The next one is the manufacturing. And manufacturing, this one involves combining different raw materials to come up with a final product. This involves combining different raw materials to come up with one final product. A very good example of manufacturing would be making of bread. When you need bread, you need to combine a number of ingredients so as to come up with bread. For instance, you need wheat flour, you need baking powder, some eggs, and some preservatives. So in manufacturing, you have to say that you combine different raw materials so as to come up with one final product. The other one is construction. And construction, this one is all about building of structures like roads, houses, and some other items that you can construct. For instance, you can see beside that explanation, there is a road that is being constructed. So construction is also a business activity. The other business activity is the distribution of goods. And distribution of goods, this one involves all the activities that are involved in moving goods from where they are manufactured or produced to where they are needed. Goods are not sold from the farm or from the company where they are made. They need to be availed closer to the consumer, and that is where distribution comes in. So distribution of goods is also a business activity. Those people who are involved in distribution of goods we call them distributors. And an example of a distributor are wholesalers who buy goods in wholesale from the producer or from the manufacturer. Then they distribute them to various destinations to make sure that the goods get closer to the consumers. We continue with business activities, and the other business activity is trade. Trade is all about buying and selling of goods with a view of making profit. We said that for trade to be referred to as trade, there must be some profit that is being realized. So you buy goods at a lower price, then you sell them at a higher price. The difference between the buying price and the selling price is what we refer to as profit. And it's good to note that people who are involved in trade are referred to as traders. The other type of business activity is the provision of services. When you are defining the term business studies, we said that it is the buying and selling of goods and services. So you also buy or you can sell services, and at the end of the day you make profit, and that is why we are saying provision of services is also a business activity. So this means it is the sale of services to the consumers. For instance, if you own a car and it gets dirty, you go and take it to the car wash, then someone cleans that for you and you pay for that service. When you go to the hair salon and you get your hair done, that is also a service. You pay for that. If you are a teacher, you go and provide your service, the service teaching, and you are paid for that, for teaching. So we can also sell services and we get profit from that. Thank you so much for watching. But before we end the lesson, attempt the following. Attempt the question below. Explain the meaning of the following terms. The first term is trade, distributors, processing, and finally distribution. Thank you.